Good evening. My name is Wanda Brown. Today I'll be speaking with you regarding athletes deserving more money. What I'd like to do is introduce you guys to my audience this evening. Thank you, audience, for being here. I have a question for you. How would you feel if you were not paid for your worth? Well, what makes you think that athletes should be any different? That is a profession, just as doctors, lawyers, teachers are also professions. The sport doesn't really matter as far as the industry is concerned, but I'll be speaking with you guys regarding baseball. The reason why I feel comfortable speaking about baseball is that I've been married to the same gentleman for the last 20 years, and guess what? He has previously been a baseball player. He's still in that industry as a coach, but he has managed as well as performed in the organization. Just as I take classes and you take classes, you have a goal in mind. That goal is to obtain a degree, right? Well, you have individuals also who are athletes who have a goal in mind as well. They cultivate their craft, they learn their craft so that they can get to the next level. The next level could be the next organization level, or it could be the ultimate goal, which is to win in baseball the World Series. Well, while they're performing that task, they're trying to cultivate their craft. Well, in cultivating their craft, they learn things along the way. Just as if you were in a job that you enjoyed, you expect as your expertise grows, you expect your earnings to also grow. Well, athletes do the same thing. They start at one level, they advance to another level, they get additional funds for that. They advance to the next level, they get additional funds for that. Well, why shouldn't they earn, just because they're an athlete, the same amount of money for their craft as teachers, lawyers, doctors? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because individuals believe that because their salaries are so high that they do not deserve that money. Well, why do you think they're so high? They're so high because of two reasons. One is because the franchise owners have the money to pay them. The second is that you have fans who participate and attend these sporting events. I'm a fan of baseball, basketball, and football. I feel like if I have the funds to be able to go and entertain these, or to cultivate these activities and to visit these facilities, that I will pay that because it's my money. Well, athletes are the exact same. If the industry can afford to pay the athletes, why wouldn't they earn the money? The franchises earn their money by multiple ways. One is, of course, by fans attending games, but the second is by paraphernalia. There's baseball, balls, gloves, t-shirts, hats. All of these items are items that are purchased by fans, and that money is going into the franchise organization. Well, what brings that money into the organization? If the athlete didn't have the skill set to be able to be in that organization, the fans would not go, the money would not be earned, correct? So there's purpose in the funds that they receive. I want to share something with you that happened in 1994. My husband at that time was playing ball still, and I don't know if a lot of people remember this, but we actually had a baseball strike. This was the first strike in over 20 years in the baseball organization. Why did this happen? Well, it happened because of labor disputes. You had owners who decided they wanted to put a cap on baseball. You had players who decided they were not going to play with a cap. The reason why they decided not want to play with a cap, however, was because in history, baseball players historically only earned probably about $100,000 a year. Sounds like a ridiculous amount of money, I know. However, you have to put it in perspective. That's not a teacher, it's not an attorney, it is baseball. The baseball is a $6 billion a year industry, and that's quoted from the CBSnews.com. Because this industry earns so much money, because an athlete has that experience and that expertise, they should earn the money because they're the ones that's drawing the fans into the stands. Baseball has been an American favorite for over, I couldn't even tell you, probably 100+ years. With that being the case, the industry has evolved. They started with paying probably, maybe $10,000 a year, and now it's to the point where it's actually paying the minimum is $400,000 a year. But the industry warrants it. Again, it is a $6 billion a year industry. So why do I believe baseball players deserve the money that they make? because the franchise warrants it. They have the money, they pay the money, they make the money. Why wouldn't they want to pay it to the industry? Secondly, the fans are visiting the stands. If the fans were not there and the money was not there, they wouldn't, in order to be able to pay those athletes, they wouldn't do it. The money is there, the fans are there, the skill set is there. We enjoy the great American sport. So why not encourage those gentlemen by paying them for what they are worth? I thank you tonight for joining me. I appreciate my audience again for being here with me. Thank you so much.